Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to The Truth. I'm your host, the one you love the most, Niall Hessen, back with a brand new episode here on The Truth, back once again with Lucas and AJ. Gentlemen, thank you so much for coming on. I know we've been a little bit delayed on the recordings. Do apologize. We got three different schedules that we're trying to work with here, so really do appreciate you guys sticking around. But anyways, I'll start first with you, Lucas. How are you doing today?
Good. It's nice to be back in the Riverside studio, talk some baseball. Spring training coming up, some report dates next week. Excited.
Yeah, it's funny actually. Right before we did the show, I did go look to see when pitchers and catchers report because I always know it's around this time. And I think what February 10th, 11th. Does that sound
I
right?
think the Twins are on Sunday, so
Do they all report at different times?
some teams do. Like I think some teams might report like this Friday, and then pitchers and catchers are always before the full squad workouts. But
Hmm.
pitchers and catchers early next week, and then full squad end of the week. First game's on the 21st, I think.
AJ, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. How about yourself?
Doing great. I've been dealing with a cold or allergies or something, so it hasn't been fun. Classic, my cough's back. So good news is I'm not going to do a lot of talking on this show because if you guys are new to the series, yes, we are doing fantasy baseball, but we're really focusing on minor league prospects. Today, AJ and Lucas will give you guys that one minor league prospect to either watch maybe upcoming this year or sometime down the line, and then a prospect that will probably make an impact down the line, a couple years down the line, or maybe even be a late bloomer here this year. So that's how we're going to do it. We're going to start with the worst team going to the top from the AL West division. So without further ado, AJ, go ahead and kick things off with your Angels prospects.
Yeah, so my first one for this year is going to be Matthew Lugo, 23 years old, former second round pick by Boston just a few years back in 2019. But he's been a really good minor league hitter throughout his career. Right now, he's listed as an outfielder, but if I remember correctly, he was kind of like a super utility guy. You could play him anywhere in the infield as well. Last year, hit 287, 17 home runs, 4 triples, 21 doubles, 16 stolen bases, 32 walks, 74 strikeouts. Had a 954 OPS between a little bit of double A time and triple A time. That was the best OPS of his career by almost 120 points. So he really found a way once he got over to the Angels minor league system to really figure it out. Granted, you can take a think about it a little bit differently because the AAA for Salt Lake is really different compared to the AAA everywhere else. The home field just home runs are launched everywhere there, above sea level by a good amount there at Salt Lake. So home runs just absolutely fly there. So he's someone I expect to probably make the squad, be a corner outfield guy. He could potentially be Trout, uh, Taylor Ward, and Matthew Lugo as your starting day lineup. I wouldn't be too surprised with that. And then a right-handed pitcher, Trey Gregory Alford. One of the big things about him is that he was just drafted in the 11th round. He hasn't pitched this year, but he's only 18 years old, 6'5", 235 pounds, just a really good frame to him. Big fastball dominant guy though. Good slider, an okay changeup. It's more of just a pitch that he flashes and needs to work on some control. But that frame at his age, him being able to throw upper nines the way he is at only 18 years old, like I said, 6'5", 235, or two, yeah, sorry, 235. He's someone who won't be up for probably 3, 4 years potentially, but he's someone that I wouldn't be surprised to be back end bullpen type of guy. I mean, that size you just can't teach, and the frame is kind of the similar what they've been looking for a closer.
Lucas, any comments on those before you talk about yours?
Those are two guys I'm somewhat familiar with. I would not be surprised if Lugo plays for the Angels, especially early on with such a terrible team. But yeah, in terms of my guys, first guy is Caden Dana. He actually made his debut last season. I mean, it wasn't a good one. He had a 10 ERA, but this is only in 10 innings. He's a 11th round pick from 2022, so he's someone who definitely out of college was not expected to, make the majors, only 2 years removed. Last year, he was 9-7 with a 2.52 ERA, 135 innings pitched, 147 strikeouts, and less than a one WHIP. AJ mentioned it, but in a ballpark like Salt Lake, I've been there, and I think the final score was like 10-8. So the ball flies, and to have an under 3 ERA there is pretty remarkable. Then the second guy I had just drafted this year as well, Christian Moore. He's a little different than the person AJ mentioned because he was coming out of college, or he's a number 8 overall pick. And like most draft picks, he didn't get a lot of time in the minors, but he had 100 ABs at Double A, hit 347 with 6 bombs, 20 RBIs, and almost 1,000 OPS. And this is a middle infield guy. They have Neto at short for a while, guys like Rengifo, so I think it might be a little clogged up. I mean, Moore's not going to be ready this year, but I think in 2 years, depending on the track of like Neto and Rengifo, or if he could maybe move over to third, I think he's definitely going to make an impact for the Angels.
AJ, any comments on those guys? Otherwise, go for your A's.
Yeah, Christian Moore, I think he's going to be a stud. He's someone who I wouldn't be surprised makes his debut this year. Uh, it seems like the Angels, especially more recently, have been fast tracking their guys. But for the A's, my first guy is going to be Colby Thomas. I think at one point he was like their number 24 prospect. A lot of people didn't really know him. I believe he was drafted out of Mercer just a few years back in 2022 in the third round. Now he's their number 7 prospect. He is 24 years old. But last year in the minors, between Double A and Triple A, he had 31 home runs, 5 triples, 44 doubles, 15 stolen bases. He does strike out a lot, 141 strikeouts to 40 walks, but 277 average, 342 on base, a 905 OPS, which is great. He's able to sustain that basically 50-50, a little bit more in Triple A than Double A this entire last season. But one of his big things is he's super quick. I mean, he had only 15 stolen bases, but having 5 triples, 44 doubles, and then also having power, 31 home runs in only 132 games. I mean, he's up there with some of the most extra base hits, I believe, of anyone out of the entirety of minor league system or any minor league system just this past season. Uh, Again, he's someone who I'm should make the team, but who really knows with the A's? I mean, they don't really call up anyone. They want to kind of conserve their players to be able to manipulate their free agency. And then the guy for a little bit down the road, 21-year-old Gage Jump. He was just the 73rd overall pick in his last draft, left-hand pitcher out of LSU. He's been great at his time at LSU. Just really good fastball, curveball, slider combo. Has a good changeup. One of his things is that he's already been drafted before, but he decided to go to UCLA and then over to LSU. He his fastball varies. Sometimes it's 90, sometimes it's 95. You really don't know. It depends on the day, but he's shown flashes where he's sat 90, 92, and then when he's really needed it, he's been able to get up to that 95 range, which is great out of left-hand pitcher. Especially someone who I think can form into a really good starter going down the road.
Lucas, any comments on those guys before your A's?
No, I think those are both articulated pretty well. For me, he's definitely still a prospect. He's one of my favorite prospects, probably in the majors. Jacob Wilson, he's a shortstop. I believe he went to GCO. I'm not totally sure on that. I like him a lot because he was on my fantasy team for the game that he got hurt, which is amazing. But I was really excited about him. I was looking at his minor league numbers, and it was somewhat shocking just how well he played. I mean, only 200 at bats. He hit over 400 with 7 home runs and 28 doubles, which was just really shocking to me. I don't know if I read that wrong, but 28 doubles, I mean, over 10% of the time he's hitting a double in his at bats, which is just weird. 39 RBIs and over 1,000 OPS. He struggled in the majors, but again, he had such a short time span there before he got injured. I think it was a hamstring injury. But I think he got a hit in his first at bat. I think he was 2 for 2 before he got pulled because he hurt his leg rounding third base. But I think he's going to have a great year this year. Kind of like, I wouldn't necessarily compare him to Zach Geloff, but that kind of player. He's going to get on base a lot. He's going to hit doubles. He's going to hit home runs, get RBIs, all those things. Not a massive guy, but he's an infielder that's going to make a difference. And then guy who's maybe more down the road, but I think not too far ahead is Tommy White. I think both you guys are probably familiar with him. He's kind of like the Charlie Condon before Charlie Condon, and he was even better than him, I'd say. I mean, NC State LSU product, hit over 70 home runs, 300 RBIs. I mean, that's a metal bat, but still that's ridiculous. Only had 100 at-bats in the minor leagues, kind of similar to Moore for the Angels. And he only had a couple home runs and 224 average, but again, just such a short time. And someone like him, he's not going to hit like 350. He's going to hit 275 and hopefully more than 30 home runs. This is what you're looking for with a guy like White. But I think he's definitely going to be a power bat that the A's are going to need. And he's going to be really helpful in that new ballpark I think is going to be really hitter-friendly.
AJ, the Rangers.
So the guy who I think could make his debut this year is Winston Santos. He's the number 8 prospect. Last year he was used as a starter. Year before that he was used in the bullpen. He did only make it up to Double A last year, where he did have a little bit of struggles compared to his A plus ball numbers. But finished the year with an 11-6 record, a 3.67 ERA, made 22 starts, 110 innings, in that time 134 Ks. Guys only hit 221 off of him. He did have a 1.14 whip, which is solid. Throughout his career, he has a 1.2 whip. He's been pretty good his entire minor league career. He has bounced around from being a starter, and he has been used in the bullpen a little bit earlier on in his career. But this is someone that I wouldn't be surprised if we saw him in a bullpen role, especially if the Rangers are healthy and they're able to make a little bit more of a push to the playoffs. And we've seen guys like Jack Leiter and Kumar Rocker get kind of not fast tracked, but got up to the majors a little bit sooner than I think most of us suspected. I was expecting them to make their debuts this coming up season, not last season. So that's kind of similar what I can see with Santos, him making that jump to at least to the bullpen for this next season. And then for guy for a couple years down the road, Malcolm Moore uh, was really good at Stanford. He's a catcher. He hits lefty. Was drafted in the first round this past draft, number 30th overall. Did have some struggles. I only hit 209 with a 298 on base, 3 home runs, 6 doubles, 3 stolen bases, 12 RBIs, 14 runs, and 25 games. So not great numbers, but solid numbers just coming right out of college. Malcolm Moore is actually someone I got to watch in high school, and I believe I probably played against him at some point. He's from the Sacramento area, and that's where I play a lot of my tournaments, and we're the exact same age. So I wouldn't be surprised if at some point I actually played him when we were both younger. But I got to watch him in high school. He came and played my rival high school in the playoffs, and he was just a man among kids. I mean, I remember seeing him, and he's a year younger than me. I remember seeing him, and I was like, wow, he's much bigger. He's just built much different than a lot of these other high school kids being on the field back there. But he's a great defensive catcher. I believe he won freshman of the year his first year at Stanford, and last year had another great year. I think more home runs than the year before, a little less average, but he's just kind of more of a really good all around type player.
Lucas, you for the Rangers.
For me, first guy, I mean, he mentioned him, but Jack Leiter, we know the story with him. Didn't have a lot of success. I mean, 0 for 3, 0 and 3, I should say, almost a 9 ERA in 35 innings, 31 strikeouts. But I just don't think he can give up on someone like that, especially like that big of a name. He went to Vanderbilt, so I still have belief in him. I think AJ mentioned it. I think he kind of got in the major leagues a little early, which with the Rangers pitching situation, all the injuries they had, like their whole rotation being down, it makes sense. But I mean, in the minor leagues, he was 6-4 with a 3.5 ERA, 77 innings, and 110 strikeouts. 35 walks. I mean, you see 110 strikeouts in 70 innings. That's a great number, especially for a guy like Leiter. And I think that can translate. I mean, the AL West is definitely an interesting division, but I think he could definitely compete. And then someone in the future, I really didn't see any names I loved. And so this is truly a flyer. Paulino Santana, he's an international signing, one of the top ones that was signed in his class, but you're not going to see him like for another 3 or 4 years, and his numbers don't pop out at all. But I mean, 30 RBIs, 20 steals, no home runs, which is like whatever, but 200 career at bats. So I mean, you don't even know. Like this guy could be a bust next year, but just someone. International prospects are so hit and miss. Like Emmanuel Rodriguez for the Twins, I'll always bring up. Like he just could have been another guy, but he was a diamond in the rough, and I think that the Rangers could have something with this Paulino Santana.
AJ, Mariners.
Cole Young is someone I think that could make his debut this coming season. He spent the entirety of 2024 in triple or double A, hit 271, 369 on base, only 759 OPS, but he's a much contact speed guy over power. In his 267 games in the minors, he only has 22 home runs. This past season had 9, 2 triples, 25 doubles, 23 stolen bases. One thing I really liked this past season, 67 walks to only 87 strikeouts on his minor league career, 163 walks to 185 strikeouts. But like I said, he's a hit and speed guy over power, which is something the Mariners need. especially at second base. They don't really know who the second baseman is going to be. I believe last year Ryan Bliss made his debut. I believe they just re-signed Jorge Polanco for second base. Donovan Solano, I know they went out and got. I mean, it's kind of just a revolving door there at second base. And Cole Young, he's 21 years old. He's shown that he's able to hit. He's hit 279 on his minor league career. I wouldn't be surprised at some point there's like, let's just try out one of these young guys in Cole Young because they got a lot of young middle and big fielders. And the guy for the future, I think, not this year, but the year afterwards, Lazaro Montes, 20 years old, 6'3", 210 pounds, 50 hit tool and 65 power tool. He's been great through his minor league career. Last season in A ball and A plus ball, 288, 21 home runs, two triples, 21 doubles, only 5 stolen bases. He did have 128 strikeouts, but also had 78 walks, which isn't a great ratio, but someone who has really good power like that, is hitting 4 hole. I'm not expecting him to walk a lot, and he actually walked a little bit more than what I expected this season. Also had over 100 RBIs at 105, 83 runs. He had 881 OPS, which is actually down from his previous 2 seasons. He had 1,000 OPS in 2023 and 1,007 OPS back in 2022, which brings to him a 940 career OPS while hitting 291 in the minors and a 414 on base percentage.
Lucas, you for the Mariners?
First guy for me, he's been around just forever. I mean, 2021 first round pick, played on the Great Britain national team, saw him play, Harry Ford. He's a catcher. Last year, over 400 at-bats, 249 average, 45 ribbies, 35 steals, and I think that's a lot for a catcher, which is notable. 750 OPS, so nothing that pops out, but I think for him it's just a matter of time. I mean, he has 1,300 at-bats in the minor league system with 36 home runs and 187 RBIs, which is just, I mean, he's just due, but I mean, with Cal Raleigh in front of him, he just got to hope that the backup, like there's something goes wrong with him because that's how he's going to get to the league. I could see him maybe playing first. I mean, he's first with 35 steals as a catcher. I'm not sure where that ranks, but that's definitely high in terms of the catching position. And next guy, I really have no idea how to pronounce it, but Uranilo Kahinte, I'm just going to say. He's the infamous switch pitcher for Mississippi State. Didn't pitch at all this minor league season because he was just drafted. Pitchers are kind of, you pitch him maybe for a couple innings to see what he has, but I'm sure he's got some work behind the scenes in the instructional league. But at Mississippi State, 8-2, 3.67 ERA, 90 innings, 113 strikeouts. I mean, that's a good season for like a minor league guy. But just the fact that he's a switch pitcher, I mean, is just unbelievable. I don't remember Pat Venditti. That was the guy for the A's who was a switch pitcher. But this guy, like, he is a first-round pick. Like, he is a dominant pitcher from both sides of the ball, which is just unbelievably rare. I mean, you see the rise of, like, two-way players now. Maybe switch pitchers the new thing, but I think it'll be really interesting to see how he develops this season. I can see him in the league next year. Like, not this great year, but next year. Maybe at the beginning, depending where the Mariners need pitching help. But it's just, I'm really excited to see how he does facing minor league competition.
And the Astros, AJ.
Yeah, so the first player I'm going to go with, he was a former 7th round pick in 2022. He's a little bit older, not older, he's 24 years old, but AJ Bluebaugh. One of the things I really liked about him is his grades. He doesn't have anything below a 50. Control at 50, can change up at 50, slider at 55, curveball at 50, and then a 55 fastball. Last year, made 28 starts, pitched 28 games and made 25 starts. Had a 3.71 ERA with a 12-4 record, 128 2/3 of inning, with 133 Ks. He is someone who doesn't walk a whole lot. But one of the things, he does give up a good amount of hits. He has a career batting average against him at 241, which isn't horrible, but isn't great. But he doesn't walk too many guys. He's about a walk every other inning. So, again, not solid, not great. Not great, but not bad, per se. But in the last 2 years, he's made a good amount of starts. He's made relief appearances. Last 2 years also over 100 innings. So he's proven that he's able to withstand the workload. Last year, I believe he spent a majority of his time up in AAA. So I wouldn't be surprised if this is someone that we see with a lot of the guys that they've lost in the bullpen. Also, a lot of guys that they lost in the starting rotation, trying to still figure that out for Houston. that he makes his debut this coming season. And then Cam Smith. Cam Smith is an absolute dog from Florida State. He was the big trade piece around the Kyle Tucker trade with the Cubs. Last year with the Cubs, he made it all the way to Double A within 32 games right after he got drafted. He hit 313, 396 on base, over 1,000 OPS. Like I said, only 32 games. He has 7 home runs, 4 triples, and 5 doubles, 15 walks, 24 strikeouts, 2 stolen bases, 20 runs, 36 hits in 32 games, 24 RBIs. I mean, he did everything right, and like I said, he made it all the way up to Double A already after just getting drafted, and he's only 21 years old. I wouldn't be surprised. Like I said, not this season, but next season, he could potentially be that starting third baseman, especially if they don't go re-sign Alex Bregman. They move Isaac Paredes over to first. Within that time, I mean, Cam Smith, he's an absolute animal. I wouldn't be surprised if we see him very soon.
And then Lucas, your Astros.
Yeah, I got 2 guys who I think are knocking on the door. Both outfielders. First guy, Jacob Melton. Second round pick in 2022, 400 at bats this year, hit 253, 15 home runs, 54 RBIs, 30 stolen bases, 736 OPS. A lot of things I look at with like these guys is stolen bases. I don't know why I'm just so fascinated, but like I love people that have 30 stolen bases and are hitting 15 home runs. I think that's something that's going to be valuable, especially with the Crawford boxes in Houston. Career 773 OPS, 900 at bats. So he's a seasoned veteran of the minor league system, and I would not be shocked if someone goes down in that outfield that he'll get a spot. And then similarly, Luis Baez, he's a signing like internationally, so he's been around since he was, I don't know the exact date he was signed, but probably when he was 17 or 18, and he's just a slugger. I mean, 21 home runs, 76 RBIs, 11 steals. It's not as many steals, but a 763 OPS and 430 at bats at Double A. I think that similar to Melton, if anybody really goes down, I think Baez has proved himself at Double A. I mean, hitting over 20 bombs and 76 RBIs is really good for a guy at Double A, especially in the Texas League. So I think it's going to be interesting to see how this season develops for the Astros in terms of the outfield situation. I could see both these guys, probably Melton first because he's had more time in the higher levels. But Baez, I think, is right around the corner. So I could see Melton end of this year, maybe middle of this year, whenever he's needed. And then Baez, I could definitely see him beginning of next season.
Well, there you have it, the AL West division. Thank you guys for listening to another episode here on The Truth. If you guys did enjoy, make sure you follow The Truth on Twitter at @TheTruthAs1 to stay up to date with the latest information regarding The Truth, including podcast dates, podcast uploads, and other important information you don't want to miss. Make sure you guys also follow The Truth on Instagram and TikTok at the.tt.truth. You're looking to find a drink that offers peak hydration, raises your energy level, speeds up your recovery, and keeps your mind sharp through focused memory. Look no further than acid rainwater. I'm excited to partner with Bloodline Sports AZ and Acid Rainwater, which focuses on peak hydration and productivity while also maintaining an ecosystem-friendly product. Use code HESSON15, that's HESSON15, for 15% off every purchase. As always, I'm your host, one you love the most, Niall Hesson, joined once again by AJ Ponciano and Lucas Hesson. Take care and good night.